So what was the next big movie after that? 'Cause I'm looking down,
I
the
think
filmography.
Desperado.
Desperado. There we
Yeah.
go. Which was a Robert Rodriguez film.
Yeah, Robert Rodriguez was awesome, and it's so funny. I didn't have a line in that movie. I didn't say a word, and yet I was the strongest character in that movie. It was funny because Robert Rodriguez, he's the one that told me. I kept saying, "Give me a line, Robert. Come on." He said, "Danny, you can say more with your face
Yeah.
than most actors can do with a whole page of dialogue." And I said, "I don't care. I want a line. Let me tell you." And in fact, I swear to God, RJ, one of the Teamsters, right? He brought him in to mop a floor. I never said a word. I kept begging. So then RJ, he says, "Danny, come here, RJ, come here." And RJ's a Teamster, right? And he said, "Come here." But he's got a sag. He says, "Mop this floor and say something." I go, "Oh, you're gonna give the Indian a word and not me? Come on, dude." And he goes, "Dan." So I whined for he didn't give me a line. So then at the end, we're in front of Sony, we're in front of all these big wigs, and one of them asked me with Q&A. One of them asked me, "Danny, was not saying a word like an actor's choice because you never said a word." I said, "Absolutely." I think Robert gave me the finger.
Well, Antonio Banderas is in it.
Yeah, yeah.
And Salma Hayek.
Oh, Selma,
Wow.
God.
How beautiful is she in person?
You know what? She's like a little kiss from God's lips. Honest to God, he worked overtime on her. She is so beautiful. And it's like, you can't help, but she is so smart. She disarms you immediately because she knows you're staring at her, and you're staring at her naked. You know what I mean? It's like she's got clothes on, but you see, and the first thing she asks you is, "Have you talked to your mom?" And you, oh.
Wow.
Oh, she's beautiful. She's awesome, and she's
and-
so nice.
Yeah, and-
she's just so nice. I have bad things to say, but it's
Oh
unbelievable.
yeah, and one of the baddest bodies, natural
Yeah,
bodies
yeah.
I've ever seen. Just period.
Like, she made everybody love snakes. And you know what's so funny? What's so funny is when she's pouring that wine down her leg from dusk to dawn.
Dusk till dawn, yeah.
You know what I mean? And Quentin's licking it off. You look at the audience. Every man in that audience is going,
Okay, so you do Desperado, and then you do Heat. And this is, I believe, the first time that Al Pacino and Robert De Niro had a
worked
movie
together.
together.
You know, a story. Listen, you know what? Michael Mann, he won't admit it, okay? Michael Mann met my uncle in Folsom because he was doing a movie called The Jericho Mile. And all the white guys and the African American guys, they all showed up to work. None of the Mexicans. And he was saying, what the hell's going on? So he had to talk to but three of the main guys. And my uncle was one of them. And he met Gilbert, blah, 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 blah. So he got, okay, so we'll work. So, because the Mexicans have a union. And so they, all of a sudden, next day, they all came out to work, all the Mexicans. And Michael Mann paid my uncle SAG scale under the table. Not, he got it on his books. And they became really good friends. So when I showed up on Heat, he says, because me and Eddie Bunker were actually armed robbery consultants on Heat, and when I showed up, he goes, "Gilbert, no, I'm Danny. Gilbert, Gilbert's mom." Oh wow, blah, blah. And so I brought him a picture of the guys in charge up there, and he's got it on his wall. I said, "Just don't let the feds get it." And he was just like so still. But that's the. I love Michael Mann. He's like cool.
Yeah, I mean, hell of a movie, man.
And that movie stamped me as like, hey, this guy's a real actor.
This guy's a real actor. Yeah, and Val Kilmer was in it, killed it. Everyone killed it.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah.
An unbelievable performance. Because there was always I remember there was always the argument who's better, De Niro or Pacino, and it was because I mean, well, De Niro had done Godfather, Pacino had done Scarface, and these were such epic roles
Yeah.
that, you know,
Yeah,
the fact
both
they did something
titans.
together.
They're both titans, man.
Yeah.
You know, and when they were, God, it's like, you know, those guys, sparks are around them, man, when you're close to them. They're like, you know, they're just unbelievable. They're so nice. But then it's so funny. All the guys that have been here a long time, you know, the big actors, the A-list actors, they're all really cool. They got no airs about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember when we did, because I did Heat, and then Robert De Niro did Machete for me. Right? When we got Machete, Robert De Niro, everybody wanted to join, right? Because De Niro's in it. So I walk in, I bump into Robert De Niro on the set of Machete, and he goes, "You, hey, you, number one on the call sheet, you." And I'm like, "Could I get you some coffee, Mr. De Niro?" Because number one on the call sheet means you're the boss. Hey, you're
Right.
number one.
I'll get you coffee.
I'll still get your coffee, man. God, and he was just so unbelievable, man. He talked to my son like, because when my son first met him on Heat, my son was 9 years old, and I said, "Hey, Gilbert, this is Robert De Niro, and Bob, this is my son Gilbert." And
Oh, you named your son after your uncle?
my uncle. And it was so funny because Robert De Niro goes, "Hi, Gilbert," and puts out his hand. My son, 9 years old, goes, "You talking to me? You talking to me?"
The taxi driver line.
Robert,
yeah.
like, what, just hugged him. What do you? And I said, "Gilbert, you never saw that movie?" He goes, the Comedy Channel. He goes, every comedian will. That's what he'll do with it.
Yeah.
And so they became really, really close, good
Nice.
friends.
Well, because then after Heat, you did Dust Till Dawn,
Yeah.
which we talked about.
Again.
You know, and that was Quentin Tarantino,
And
who was
Robert
considered
Rodriguez.
one of the you know, the giants.
Yeah.
You know, this was after he had done Pulp Fiction
Yeah.
and Reservoir Dogs and had
Well,
blown
you know,
up.
Robert directed that, and Robert
Robert directed it.
directed.
Oh, so
Quentin was
Quentin
a
just
producer. I think.
was a producer. Okay, yeah. I was
But
gonna say.
literally, that started the vampire zombie craze. You know, I mean, really just boom. That was Rodriguez, and so you blame him for The Walking Dead and all that stuff.